My name is Chika Oduah. I am a Nigerian American journalist. I presently live in Nigeria, where I report on issues of culture, development, and conflict. Right now, I am in Madrid, Spain, to give a presentation this evening, actually, talking about the place of women in Nigeria. The title of my lecture is Women, Trapped in a Man's World. And that trapped is really about different spheres of life. It's not just about human trafficking. It's also about being trapped in the workplace, for example, also in religious life. There are so many ways of controlling women. And really we're finding that it's men who are making the decisions for the lives of women. Not just in Nigeria, but women all over the world. But Nigeria is particular because it's the biggest population in Africa, so it's very, very important. Especially girls who are in the northeastern part of Nigeria, where Boko Haram has really wreaked so much havoc, because Boko Haram believes that girls should not go to Western schools. So in this case, yes, girls are having a hard time going to schools, but even in other parts of the country, there are different cultural practices and beliefs that say, well, women don't really need that much education. Maybe primary school is enough, maybe secondary school is enough, so there are different traditions that dictate how far a woman can go as far as obtaining education. Well, we have to remember that Nigeria has more than 300 ethnic groups, so it's different in all parts of Nigeria. There are more than 300 languages, different cultures. So correct, in some cultures, true, girls get married quite young when they see their period. This is not the case everywhere. So we have to remember that everyone is different in Nigeria. Boko Haram really started because they were trying to fight two types of corruption: political corruption and spiritual corruption. When it comes to political corruption, Nigeria has so much money. We're not a poor country at all because, of course, we produce oil. But this oil money does not come down to most people. So the members of Boko Haram, they were really angry about the high level of poverty all across the country. So they wanted to fight that. They wanted to fight spiritual corruption because they felt that the West is influencing Nigeria. Girls are not covering their heads, they're exposing their arms, and they felt, this is a corruption. We need to go back to the ways of Islam. Nigeria is not an Islamic country. It's split half-half Christians and Muslims. But Boko Haram, they wanted to seek out purity, and that's really how it started. And they became more and more violent when it came to achieving their message. And that's why today we're left in a situation where Boko Haram has killed more than 15,000 Nigerians, and more than 1.5 million Nigerians have had to run away from their homes because of Boko Haram. Well, these are not the only girls who are kidnapped. They've kidnapped at least 2,000 girls, according to Amnesty International. But this one, Chibok, is very significant because it happened at one time, a big mass abduction. Well, the United States has pledged military support for Nigeria in terms of intelligence, in terms of supplying equipment to fight Boko Haram, and other countries have pledged as well. When it comes to finding the Chibok girls, many countries were involved, in 2014, but because of politics, we don't know what has happened to that assistance. But it's really up to the Nigerian government to try to find these girls. We cannot expect the world to help us if we can't help ourselves. Well, there are some ethnic groups in Nigeria that have something called widowhood rights. So if your husband has died, you as a widow, you have to prove that you didn't kill him. And this comes in the form of test, very strange test, where you may be asked to wash the corpse of your dead husband, drink the bath water of the water where you bathed him, eat certain things, poisons, to prove that you didn't kill him. So these are all ways to prove your innocence, that you didn't kill your husband. This is not everywhere in Nigeria. It's just small communities who still have this practice. It's quite devastating. And of course you have to mourn, shave your hair, maybe wear all black for like a year or something like that. So these are some of the rites that are being practiced with widows in certain communities. You know, women really are, in my opinions, holding up the country of Nigeria. Without women, I don't know where we would be. Because if you wake up in the morning and you see it's women who are up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., going out, working for their children. And yes, they often pay the school fees. They're often the ones working really late. So yeah, they really do a lot to hold up the family. And I think that we need to give them more credit. And they're not just victims, as you said, they're also heroes. They really are heroes. And we do have many activists, women activists, who are trying to be the voice for women all over the country and all over the continent. Mass media, the news is really, it's filtered, you know, it has to be edited by someone who's sitting in an office in London or Washington, D.C., miles away from any of the African countries. But social media is direct. That's why I really think social media is a great way for people outside of Africa to interact with people in Africa. It's direct, it's immediate, it's in real time, you know, and it's also unfiltered. People are speaking their mind freely, you know, they're talking about the politics, they're talking about the economy, they're talking about anything with an open mind, and I think that's a really good way to communicate with people.